Okay. All right, let's officially call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. Oh, will you do the pledge of allegiance? Will you do the, okay, let's go.
Join me in the salute to our flag, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you today that we are able to serve in our community and given us the opportunity in small ways and big ways to continue to serve. Thank you for the rain brought to us. Continue to bless our community as we expand, we grow, give us a healthy growth, and continue to encourage all of the community members.
Amen. Thank you. Members of the public wishing to comment on any item not appearing on the agenda may address the board at this time. State law prevents the board from acting on any matter not on the agenda. However, your comments may be referred to staff for follow-up. This is also the time for public to comment on items listed under the consent calendar or to request an item from the consent calendar to be pulled for discussion purposes. Comments related to the public hearing and general business items will be heard at the time those items are discussed. In fairness to all who wish to speak, public comment is limited to a total of 15 minutes for each speaker, each speaker allowed 3 minutes unless otherwise extended by the board. Please begin with your comments by stating your name and providing your city of residence. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, let's move on. Communications. Do we have any communications?
No communications.
I should have said this first. Apologize. Communications are to be submitted to the city manager's office 10 days prior to a board meeting to be considered for this section of the agenda. No action will be taken on matters listed under communications. However, the board may direct staff to schedule issues raised during communications for a future event. As noted, there aren't any communications. Consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted in one motion without discussion. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed and considered separately. We have one item on the consent calendar. Does anybody have an issue? Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. General business items. Comments related to general business items are limited to 3 minutes per speaker for a maximum of 30 minutes per item unless otherwise extended by the board. First item, 6.1, is the purchase of an AquaJet aerators. And we have Brandley, excuse me.
I'm turning over the reins today. So this is Brandley Vath, our wastewater manager, and he's going to present this item.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, board members. The wastewater division is requesting approval to award the purchase of two 60 horsepower AquaJet aerators and two 20 horsepower aqua mixers to Aqua Aerobic Systems Incorporated in the amount of $77,007.75. The wastewater division submitted a capital improvement project to replace the SBR reactor lagoon aerators and the SBR mixers in the fiscal year of 25-26. The goal of this project was to replace two existing lagoon aerators and also two SBR mixers. The purpose of the lagoon aerators is to provide oxygen to the lagoons and also help with BOD reduction and also to reduce odors. The current lagoon aerators were installed about 2005. As you can see, they're pretty old. So what we do is we usually will take them out of service and then we'll send them out and we have to wait for them to come back and then reinstall them. So we're usually without a couple aerators when we have to send them out. So by purchasing the additional two, we'll be able to take them out of service, rehab them, and then also have spares on site, which will prevent downtime. And then also with the SBR mixers, it's pretty much the same thing as we'll send them out and then we could install the new ones and then also have backups on the shelf if needed. And the purpose of the SBR mixers is to mix the mixed liquor suspended solids in the sequence batch reactors. And this just helps everything stay suspended. So if we're wasting solids out, we get more of a concentrated solids when we're wasting out to our wasting tanks. And then this also helps with also staying in compliance when we're having to remove solids. This is pretty much the process of extracting the solids out of the wastewater so we can have a clear effluent going out through the back end. Aqua Aerobic Systems is also the sole provider of the equipment that staff is requesting. They're also the manufacturer of the equipment that we currently have on site. So this will be pretty much, pull out the equipment, we could swap it back in place while we rehab the old equipment. And the reason why we didn't reach out to other vendors is because if we were to go out with a different type of equipment, we would end up having to replace the floating devices that these equipment sit on. So it would eventually it would cost more and we would have to do a couple things to retrofit that equipment onto the bases of these floating devices. Pretty much that's all I have. If you guys have any questions,
Thank you.
I'll answer.
You might have said, I have a question. You might have said it and I didn't hear it, didn't pick it up. What's the projected life expectancy?
I would say at least 10 to 15 years. The current equipment that we have on site, like the SBR lagoon aerators, those were installed in 2005. So what we've been doing is we have 5 of them. Well, actually 6 in a lagoon. So if one goes out of service, we're just without that one aerator in that lagoon. So we do have some downtime. But technically, let's just say if we get hit by the industries and we get a ton of solids coming in, sometimes we do like to run all 5 to 6 aerators. That way we can break up that BOD and also make sure we have oxygen inside of those lagoon aerators because it does help with the odors and then also with the BOD reduction.
Thank you.
My question is, so when you rehab one, what is the lifespan of a rehabbed one? Is it as long as the other one or?
It could take anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks. It does take some time, just depending on the companies that we send it out to, and it also just depends on what technically needs to be repaired. It could be the impeller of the lagoon aerators, or it could be electrical. It could be the motor needs to be rewinded or something like that. But it probably will span somewhere in between 12 to 16 weeks.
And then how much lifespan will you get from a rehab one?
Once we send them out to rehab, I would probably say it should last somewhere in between 5 to 10 years before we start
Okay.
having issues
Worth
again.
it then?
Yep.
Is it very costly to rehab them?
Yes, I would say so. It's probably in the range of somewhere $15,000 to $20,000 just to get them rehabbed.
Okay, thank you.
Anything other questions?
Well, I say from the cost of what we're gonna put into it and the lifespan, I think sounds pretty reasonable as far as getting the life.
Yep,
or
and
getting
it also
worked
just
up.
depends on what's actually wrong with the aerator or the mixer if they go out. So if it's electrical, it tends to be a little bit more expensive. If it's mechanical, sometimes our maintenance staff can have it repaired, but most of the times we have to send it out to the manufacturer, which is Aqua Aerobic Systems.
Thank you.
Late. Well, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the general business item 6.1 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion first and second to approve. Any other questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Welcome. Next, we're moving on to item 6.2. We have Mario.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, board members. We have a series of items here that I've filled up your board agenda with, extraterritorial service agreements. These are all projects that we've been working in conjunction with the county on. We have representatives from the county here. Thank them for their support. And you're going to see the gamut of with this first project that's being proposed for economic development purposes. And then the following ones are to serve unincorporated residential communities just outside the city. So I'll start with.
So, excuse me, Mario.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you doing all three then?
Four, actually, yes.
Four? Okay, so so you're gonna do all four. Okay. that's
Do you
fine.
want me to take them all together or would you like me to
Whatever
go?
you're presented, I just want to make sure so the board knows when we approve it, we'll approve the whole package.
Okay.
If that's what you're doing.
We can certainly do that. There are four resolutions. My only question, do they
Well,
need to
if
vote
you're
on them
doing it
separately?
differently, Then I'll do each one separately.
I would suggest we vote each one as a separate.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I just.
Because you might, for example, you might have a concern about one, but not another. So
Okay.
it'll get kind of messy if you don't see.
Okay, 6.2.
Thank you, sir. So starting with 6.2, this is a request by the owners Trophy Properties LLC for property at the southwest corner of Oakdale and Acres. So this is just outside the city limits, north of Cartmill, kind of along the Acres alignment there. The property owner's been working with the county. This area is in the county. They processed a rezone to mixed use. Given what's being proposed, which is a mixed use development that includes commercial, it includes some residential, and given the scale of that type of development, it is best to be served by city municipal services. And real frankly, that's the way they're going to attract that type of development. That development would not be suitable for septic, for example. And then, with the state of groundwater the way it is, private wells would also be potentially problematic. And so as they've worked through the county on their land use entitlements, city staff have also been involved in those conversations. The property owner is willing to annex eventually. And at this point, essentially, the request for the extraterritorial service agreement is to be able to extend wet utility services to this property to facilitate continued marketing and development of, again, residential and commercial combination development. So the way that would be established is the property owner is proposing to do the work to extend the lines that are just now at Cartmill. And because there are some intervening properties before this subject property, the city is willing to assist. We're not going to mandate participation of those intervening property owners, but if they are willing to set up a benefit district to help recoup some of the oversized costs that get put in initially when the project moves forward. And so the request in front of your board this afternoon is simply to review the agreement, and if approved, the resolution would allow me to work with county to file with LAFCO proceedings for these extraterritorial services agreements, because we're providing wet utility service extension outside the city limits, even though it's just outside city limits.
Thank you, Mario. Board have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I know one of the comments in here was at some point in the future, you're considering annexing them into the city. Is there a TDA on when that might happen? Because then you'll have tax revenue coming in for.
Not necessarily right now. Mario, correct me if I'm wrong. My recollection on this project is that it's not contiguous currently. I think it's one property over. So until it becomes contiguous, it's not eligible for annexation. But the reason this is important to the property owner is as they're pursuing, I refer to as fishing. As they're out there fishing for companies that would be interested in buying and developing this site. They won't have a good ability to attract those companies unless they can show them that they have an agreement with the city to provide services. So once they, that domino will start falling. They get a company that wants to do it. They see that this agreement's in place. They'll start talking to the adjacent property. Would you have an interest in annexing? And it makes it a little bit smoother and more likely to occur. I would venture to guess within the next 3 to 5 years, but that's a guess.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Any other questions? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept general business item 6.2 as presented.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Mario. Now we go to 6.3.
Thank you, Mr. President. 6.3, it's an extraterritorial sewer services only agreement for the Matheny Tract. So as your board is aware, the Matheny Tract is receiving city water. And this is actually part of a grant that the county's been assisting with. It's been a county city. We have some nonprofits involved as well. So there's a state water resources board, I believe it is, grant that's been approved to help offset the costs of essentially establishing sewer service within the community. And the city's agreed to accept the effluent at the wastewater treatment plant. And instead of, we have approximately 256 households in North Matheny, 80 in South Matheny. Since these folks already have utility accounts for water service, the way we're treating this in conversations with LAFCO is it would be a master extraterritorial service agreement that sewer service could be provided within this geographic boundary and as individual property owners because their participation is voluntary. So as they voluntarily sign up household by household, they would be adding sewer service to their account that they already have with the city for water. So now they're adding sewer service. So that's how we're treating this one, is it would include the geographic boundaries of the entire Matheny Tract community.
And that's it?
Yes, I do have just a brief schedule. Right now, the schedule for completion of the project design is being completed over the next year with bid documents going out next fall. County staff can correct me if I'm wrong. I think this was based on our last call we had not too long ago. With an expected construction award contract in early 27 and completion by early 2028.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So I know we're already getting up there in capacity in our facility. I know this probably will help the conversation along a little bit better as far as expanding the facility.
Yeah.
But what kind of pressure does it put on our existing?
They did the analysis quite a few years ago, so I don't recall the exact numbers, but as you know, we are still able to flow the overflow of the domestic plant to the industrial. So we are able to handle it. We have taken it into consideration as we plan the domestic plant. But you got to remember, anymore, your residential, because of the low flow water heads, the toilets that use a lot less water, it's not a lot of flow. The issue with this one and why it got dragged out a little bit is because it's a new line from Matheny to the treatment plant. And so it was finding room in the road and where we're going to connect at the treatment plant. So that was the bigger issue with it. As we have talked about this domestic plant expansion, we've taken this increase in consideration. But remember, we are able to flow to the industrial. So we do have that capacity.
And I would add, in terms of the scope and scale of it, Matheny Tract, I don't remember the exact number. I don't want to say it's maybe 310 parcels. It's somewhere in that range. So think of it as a decent sized neighborhood or maybe 2 new subdivisions coming on. That's about the size of it, right?
All right.
What have we done over there in the past? It was just for water?
Yeah, so we connected them to our water service, I believe in 2016.
Right.
This is a very similar project. So the city of Tulare is actually not involved in the project. It's the county working with Self-Help Enterprises. And so they are applying for the grant funds. The state wants to see us approve this ESA and get the agreement with the county that we're going to serve these residences. But it's completely, so there's no cost to the city to do this connection. And once all the construction is done, they'll basically just turn it over to the city and they become customers of ours. So this one's a little bit easier the second time around. Like Mario said, they all currently have water accounts. So the water, there was no choice because we dissolved their mutual water company and they had to connect to the city. The sewer is a little bit different because they're all on septic. I think through this project, if they agree to connect now, their connection fees are all covered by the state through the grant. So we're really trying to encourage them to do the connection now while the state is paying all those fees. If they decide to wait, then they'll have to pay the fees to the city and abandon their septic. So
What's involved in abandoning the septic? What kind of, do you know? I'm just curious.
yeah, they have to, I think, get it cleaned out and then fill it with dirt. And then it's just moving their sewer connection from that septic tank to the city's main line in the street. But it's quite expensive. I remember we went through this a few years ago when we had like some county infill areas in the city that we got connected to sewer, and it was like 5,000 or 6,000 at the time. So I've got to imagine it's probably closer to 10,000 between the connection fees and the sewer, the septic abandonment. So
Wow.
it would be in their benefit to agree to connect it through this program while all the construction's being done. But again, there's no cost to the city. They'll just connect at the end and become sewer customers just like the rest of us.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for 6.3.
And if I could, just want to thank the county, great partners. You can't always say that about relationships between cities and counties, but we have a great one. And thanks for all their hard work and effort.
All right, Mario, 6.4, please.
Thank you. 6.4, this is an extraterritorial sewer service for the Lone Oak tract. So this is a much smaller, it is actually 40 residential lots. And this is, of course, the Lone Oak tract just outside the city limits, north of Bardsley, east of Enterprise, south of the Hooper Ditch. And this one and the one I'm going to present next, kind of that continuing to improve that legacy. We had several areas that are now part of the city or just outside the city that were developed in the county and just didn't have the infrastructure. And so over the years, the city's done a great job under previous community development directors to eliminate any county islands. But some of those, as Tricia mentioned, also didn't have, were on septic, didn't have infrastructure. So we've continued to work on the infrastructure, and now we're kind of coming up against the communities that are just outside the city, this being one of them. And so again, this is just for the hookup to city sewer.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
When you say residential lots, that means there's a house on there.
Yes.
That is not just a piece of land. Okay.
Or also zoned. That's the current, that's what's allowed. In other words, they're going to be able to develop commercial on these lots.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mario. Well, I'll make a motion to approve 6.4.
Chair, I'm sorry, I missed on this one, going out to public comment.
Oh.
For this one, and I think we missed, on the one before, so just if there is anybody in the audience.
Thank you. Any comments from anybody? I know the other one we passed. Let's finish this one here on 6.4. Does any comment? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve 6.4.
I'll second.
You have a first and a second. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed. I would like to address item 6.3, which was passed already. However, I do want to ask, is there any comments regarding our vote or about the situation?
Anybody online?
Then the motion stands and passed as taken. Item 6.5, Mario?
Thank you, Mr. President. Last item here, 6.5. This is for the Soltz tract, so just north of the Lone Oak tract. This community consists of 35 residential lots. Also requesting extraterritorial service for sewer service, city sewer service within this Soltz tract.
All right, you can see these are pretty well stated. Any questions here? Do we have any comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
We have a
Second.
first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, presenters, for everything. Do we have any items of interest?
I do have
Sophia.
one. When you get home and check your email, you'll see that Melissa sent you an invite to a party we're having. Tim Doyle has officially announced his retirement and given us his retirement date. I was hoping he'd be here because I think we might be canceling the second meeting in November because his retirement party is that day, that afternoon before the BPU meeting. So after 32 years of service, Tim has decided to retire and, you know, enjoy his free time. He's got a daughter that lives up in Seattle and he only gets to visit her once a year. So hopefully he'll be making more trips up to Seattle and then definitely getting on the golf course more. He is going to be retiring. We have already done an internal recruitment to fill his position. And sorry to Michael, but a big benefit to the city. Jan Bowen, our senior city engineer, will be moving over to Public Works to take the Assistant Public Works Director position. It's going to be a good transition. Jan has worked very closely with Tim over the years on many of our projects. He knows our city standards. He knows what Tim really liked to see in the field and what his requirements were. And so there's going to be a bit of a learning curve, but we're excited. I'm more the business side of Public Works and Tim has definitely been the technical side. So Jan will take that place. We still do need to recruit for the water manager. So we have been working on that. So that's the certification side to run our water system. I do have a plan in the interim until we can fill that water manager on keeping our certifications because Tim has been wearing that hat as well since we lost our water manager about 1.5 years ago. But I hope you guys can join us. You've been able to work with Tim closely over the last few years and see all of the projects that we've been able to do and just all of the growth the city has had. And a lot of that is due in part to Tim and his work over the years to build our system and to maintain it. So anyway, you will see that invite. I hope you guys can join us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mario, do you have any comment?
No, thank you so much for your attention and for the items tonight. Thank you.
Nothing to report. You're probably not aware, but there's a sewer lift station that's located in Leland Avenue, west of Hillman Street. They're kind of in front of the Harbor Freight Tools general area. That's something that was kind of a temporary lift station that was installed back when the outlet mall was developed. We always knew that it would have to go away as development occurred. Well, the residential subdivision that's going into the north on Rutherford was required to remove that temporary lift station and go ahead and construct a gravity sewer main in Leland Avenue, basically from the lift station to tie into the sewer in Hillman Street. So you'll be seeing at some point in the near future some work occurring in Leland Avenue to get rid of that old lift station. And the time is good. We're starting to have issues with pumps going down. So just wanted to make you aware of that. That's what that work is involving.
Thank you. Renee? Sure. Really?
We talked a little bit about Matheny track today, just so you're aware, if you have an interest, on November 18th at City Council meeting at 5:30 p.m. We'll do a presentation on the concept of potentially annexing the Matheny track. It's a complex issue and it's one that I think could have benefit to both parties, the residents of the Matheny track, as well as the city under certain conditions. So we're going to introduce that concept. We've done some studies to look at how that might work. So if you're interested, feel free to attend even remotely if you'd like. Once we're done with that presentation, we'll put it all online anyways too.
Anything, Thomas? Nope. Nothing? Seeing none, then I guess meeting adjourned at 4:20.